Now that an impeachment inquiry is officially underway, Democrats who have long supported the idea are feeling a level of vindication. In a tweet yesterday, Congressman Ted Lieu wrote a letter to the president saying, "Dear Donald Trump, you admitted on national TV that you solicited the Ukrainian leader to investigate your opponent. You are also stopping the whistleblower complaint from going to Congress. That is why there is an impeachment inquiry against you."
The California congressman joins us now to talk about his thoughts on the latest 24 hours and to give his take on next steps. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sagar and Crystal. Honored to be on your show.
Oh, absolutely. So, sir, we are now in the midst of this impeachment inquiry. I know this is something that you have supported for quite a long time. What is something that's on the top of the minds of everyone here, though, is that what is the exact crime or the exact thing this particular time which broke the dam? What is it about this particular behavior that you think so much has warranted your colleagues to call for impeachment?
Thank you for that question. You cannot use the power of the American presidency and the power of America to get a foreign power to then investigate your political opponent. That is wrong on so many levels. It's also illegal. It's a felony violation of the campaign finance laws, and it's completely un-American. In addition, it was done within a context of Donald Trump having cut off military aid to Ukraine, aid that Congress had appropriated, at least $250 million, at a critical time when Russian hybrid military forces were continuing to attack Ukraine. And so this is what makes this entire issue look very bad for the president.
So if you're drawing up the articles of impeachment today, what do they say?
So if the evidence from the whistleblower is true, there are a number of violations. The first is the American president getting a foreign power to meddle in our elections. That is unconstitutional. It's illegal. It's also a violation of campaign finance laws. In addition, if the whistleblower's complaint is correct that Donald Trump had delayed military aid in order to extract leverage to get the Ukrainian leader to investigate Trump's political opponent, that would be another article of impeachment that would look just like bribery. And then third, depending on whether or not the White House provides a whistleblower complaint in full, it is illegal right now for them not to provide it. The law is very clear. You must provide this complaint to Congress.
Yeah, Congressman, I also do want to get your take, though. The underlying problem here was, of course, Hunter Biden receiving $50,000 a month from a Ukrainian energy company. Do you think that that is evidence of corrupt behavior?
No, people sit on boards and they get monetary payments. And what the evidence actually shows is that Ukrainians looked into this, terminated the investigation, found nothing there. So this is just made up, which also is very troubling because you have the American president essentially asking the Ukrainians to manufacture dirt on a political opponent because there really was no evidence of corruption.
I do want to stick on that, though. I mean, there's no evidence that Hunter Biden knew anything about energy. He was being paid while his father was vice president of the United States. I feel like that's something that you, as highlighted corruption within the Trump administration, would be concerned about. I mean, it is obvious to most that he was being paid for political influence. So you don't think that that was an untoward practice?
So again, the authorities at the time looked into these allegations and found there was no there there. They terminated the investigation. And really what we have is Trump trying to, again, have the Ukrainians essentially manufacture dirt.
Congressman, a recent poll found only 35% of Americans support impeachment. Let's talk about the politics of this for a second. How do you think it's going to impact Democrats' chances of taking back the presidency?
I have no idea. I don't think anyone knows whether this helps, hurts, or is completely neutral. And because I have no idea how this is going to affect 2020, my view is that we should look at the Constitution, look at the impeachment clause, and if what Donald Trump did merits high crimes and misdemeanors or bribery or treason, then we should impeach.
It does seem, though, interesting, Congressman. I mean, so much of this has become quite a bit of a political calculation. There were, I think, 100 members. I remember Al Green on the show. What was it, 99 people who had signed impeachment. Now we're at 200. So much of it kind of has been stacked of concerns within the caucus. Do you worry that there's not enough of a there for enough to stand on to get any Republican member of the Senate to vote to impeach the president?
Well, so it was very heartening to see the Republican-controlled Senate unanimously say we want this full whistleblower complaint because I think when people look at this allegation, whether you're Republican or Democrat or independent, you understand this is a very serious allegation. So let's see what the evidence shows. But the president has already admitted on national TV that he did, in fact, ask the Ukrainian leader to investigate Trump's political opponent.
And the president has also said they're planning to release the transcript or the notes from this phone call to the Ukrainian president. What do you expect to see there?
So I would like to see the full whistleblower complaint. The transcript is only part of that complaint. And if they're going to release a transcript, then at least they should release the transcript and not notes of the transcript.
Well, one thing, though, Congressman, is from what we understand is that presidential phone calls are not recorded. And so a rough transcript is really all there is that actually exists to go on. So is that not enough for you?
Then what we would need is to have a transcript that is verified by more than just one note taker. We need to have confidence that whatever it is that they're producing is an accurate representation of the phone call.
Yeah.
One of the worries that I've seen here is that, if the transcript comes out, then it's just notes. If a whistleblower complaint comes out and it isn't fully declassified, then that's not enough. I mean, at a certain point, what do you actually need? I mean, I heard this with the Mueller report, too. We need to see the underlying evidence of the Mueller report. That seems not like, if there's not something that exists in a smoking gun at the very top level, then that's something that makes a lot of Americans very skeptical of the underlying complaint here.
Right. That's a great question. I don't actually believe we need to see any more underlying evidence in the Mueller report. We have the full Mueller report, and if you read through it, it is very clear that the President of the United States committed multiple felonies. Now, what members of Congress choose to do with those facts, it's up to them, their conscience, and their districts, but we don't need any more underlying evidence in the Mueller report. We already have it, and it shows that Donald Trump engaged in multiple felonies.
Yeah, and I think one thing, people definitely have to say is you've been very consistent. You've been very clear in your calls here and what you see as the problematic or the law-breaking behavior. Where does the process go from here? How does it unfold? What is the timeline? Who's involved? What does it look like?
Right. So one thing changed fundamentally yesterday. That is, the Speaker of the House came forward and said we're in an official impeachment inquiry for all 6 committees. Prior to this, it was just the Judiciary Committee. So now we're firing on all 6 cylinders, and we've got the House Intel Committee and Foreign Affairs Committee looking very deeply into this Ukrainian issue. We have other committees looking at other issues, and so we're going to get more resources, more attention, and I think we're going to see pretty shortly what the evidence shows.
And then when could we expect a vote, Congressman?
That is a great question. I have no idea. But I do believe that if there isn't some sort of vote before the end of the year, then just timing-wise, it does not make a lot of sense to proceed forward with impeachment.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, sir. We really appreciate it.
Great to have your insights. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Next on Rising, the impeachment developments yesterday overshadowed the president's speech about ongoing tensions with Iran at the United Nations General Assembly.
Iran expert Trita Parsi catches us up on what we missed and how Iran reacted to Trump's comments when Rising returns.